Widdish, back with another one. Listen, Namibia just might be my second home, bro. I've never been. I've never been, but I'm in the group chat. Did I ever tell you about the group chat? I'm in the group chat. It's like an alternative sort of little group chat that they put together for themselves up there. And it's cool, dude. People talking about some really interesting stuff that I am quite, interested in, in the realm of. And it's cool to see that. It's cool to see that, they've got their little sort of own community. I probably shouldn't call it little. I don't mean to demean it or whatever, or to belittle it or whatever. It's just that, like, in terms of numbers, it's small, because Namibia's population is like really small, and that's my bag, honestly, because I'm from a non-major city. I'm like from a boring old city that has less than 500,000 people in it, yeah, right? So I am used to a small city, small sort of living space, and that's my bag, dude. So I feel like Namibia is like that, but a nation, you know. You get what I'm trying to say? Like my sort of space has been the city, but heading to Namibia would be like the current life that I live right now, but just expanded or like spread it out in as a nation, if that makes any sense. Yeah, so yeah, I'm in the group chat. People are cool. It's my first time talking to them. I've been in the group chat for like what, a few weeks now, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month or so. Yeah, first time talking to them. It's cool. I shared a video of mine. I shared one of the animatics that I did a few months back. They thought it was cool. We spoke about AI and how it sucks. I was proposing some, devil's advocate type, counter arguments to their hatred towards, you know AI and stuff, just out of, you know interest. I did that, you know because hating on AI is predictable. you know Not everyone is gonna be like, yo, aren't we treating AI like how people in the first industrial revolution were treating thingamajig, like the introduction of motor vehicles and stuff. That's what I said. And I wasn't imposing my thoughts on AI or whatever, right? I was just merely trying to spark up conversation. And yeah, we had a civil sort of exchange, but it was clear from the from the gifs that they were sending to the group chat, at my expense, and sort of like to the I don't know, to the I don't know how to put it, like to the friendship of them, I guess, or to the alliance of them. It was clear that they weren't really for what I was saying. I wasn't really standing by it. I was just because the way I was proposing that stuff too. I was like, one could suggest that this and this and this, right? So the way I phrased it should have been clear that those weren't my, you know, thoughts or whatever, my initial thoughts, or my initial beliefs or whatever. So the thing was, you could argue that AI is just as bad as, AI being introduced is just as bad as um like I said, motor vehicles being introduced, because with AI, you argue that it makes people dumber and whatnot, and then I was like, one could argue that motor vehicles make people unhealthy because they over rely on them to get from A to B, and they don't necessarily you know get the blood flow going by heading there like on foot or whatever, you know. But yeah, just even by just phrasing it like that and trying to be as impartial as possible, I could tell that like they weren't for what I had to say, like with the gifs and whatnot. Like they were clocking my tea. They were clocking my tea in that group chat with like the gifs and stuff. They weren't like overly sort of uh what's the word? Confrontational. They weren't overly confrontational. But you could tell like the gifs they were sort of like on some because one dude would like rebuttal, I guess, or just respond to what I had to say, and then another person will sort of send a gif that was to say, yeah, you sure showed him, that sort of thing. So people thought I was on the side of AI, even though I was trying to be impartial or whatever. But yeah, out of the blue, I just decided to share an animatic that I did, and then before I shared it, I clarified. I was like, yo, guys, I'm not for AI. I was just saying all of that stuff because I was just trying to, have a little bit of a conversation, and they understood. They were like, and they straight up said it, and they were like, dude, you need to be careful with your words next time, because I thought you were a troll or whatever, you know. Yeah, this is the main point that I'm trying to make. But then it's clear that even just being impartial can give people the impression that you're for whatever it is that you speak on the behalf of. You know, the world is kind of becoming a bit extreme. So if you even slightly lean towards, and even in just like a rhetoric kind of way, or like rhetoric kind of you know fashion, even if you kind of lean towards it, you will. That's the same as you saying to the person that you're supporting that thing. It's kind of like rounding up. If you're 0.6, you might as well be 1. You know, if you're 0.4, you might as well be 0. Well, that's not actually the truth. You're 0.4. You're 0.6. But whatever. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed just talking to the Namibians. It was cool. Yeah, I shared the little animatic, and I made it clear that I was like, yo, this might be the worst possible time, but I did use text to speech here, and in addition to that, it is kind of AI trained because they had to get licensed. May I add, voices from people to make the text to speech sound realistic and stuff. So I made that clear. I was like, yeah, I used text to speech for these videos. Please don't hate me. And they understood. They're like, yeah, dude, we're not gonna jump you. One dude actually said that. Yeah, dude, I doubt any of us are gonna jump you for something that you enjoyed putting together in the moment or whatever. So yeah, I shared it. It was cool. Nice, man. Nice. Community, dude. Community. It was cool. Mingled with some cool Namibians. Hell yeah. I'm trying to tap in with them, to be honest with you. I'm trying to head to Namibia. Just dip my toes. Just dip my toes. See how I like it. and yeah, take it from there. It's a bordering country to South Africa, so we're basically like cousins. In fact, I saw someone say that in the comment section of one of the Namibian slash South African video. No, it was a Namibian video about like life in Namibia, one of the cities in Namibia, and then I commented. I was like, as a South African, this is not verbatim, by the way. I was like, I think what I said was, yeah, I'd like to visit Namibia one day. Love from South Africa, and then presumably, and then, yeah, I think it was a Namibian person. They responded. They were like, yes, South African are like our. If I'm not wrong, they were like our big cousin or whatever. Doesn't matter who's big or who's the younger or whatever, right? We're cousins. Um, so yeah, I've sort of I've since adopted that sort of thinking as well, you know, or I sort of strengthened that thinking. Obviously, I think all of the African countries are our family in one way or another, right? But just mingling a little bit more with, or mingling at all with the Namibians just kind of strengthened my view of the nation. And yeah, dude, I'm just so ready to be a part of the lovely nation, in any way I can. Did I ever speak about how I've sort of daydreamed about, did I ever speak about this? I don't know. Did I ever speak about how I thought it'd be cool maybe to be based in Namibia, right? And then have a musical sort of act over there, like have a band over there. I gave that some thought, right? I gave it some thought. I think I ended up basically just explaining to myself that it'll be like 10 times harder to establish such a thing in Namibia than in South Africa. Just based on like the sheer numbers, smaller pool to sort of pick from, sort of, smaller pool to sort of work with to make such a thing happen. Because yeah, ideally I'd like to stay there full time, right? I like the idea of that. I've never been, but I like the idea of that as it stands right now, or at least sort of bounce between the two nations. But I did give it some thought, and I came to the conclusion that it might be best to sort of form that sort of thing in South Africa, in the major city of South Africa, mainly Johannesburg. Form it there, and then just bounce between the two nations in terms of like gigs and stuff. You know, because I like realistically speaking, I'm not gonna stay in Namibia anytime soon. I still have to, you know, come up a little bit in terms of my career. Because I do want to live like a rather comfortable life over there. So I do have to come up a little bit. By the way, the two economies are exactly the same. They use our economy. Their economy is based on our economy, so the currencies are the same. Everything's the same. So yeah, it would be a good idea to form the band in Johannesburg, and then bounce between the two nations, and then through that bouncing of the two countries, that'll warm us up to the idea of perhaps heading to a different nation and gigging there maybe, and then that'll sort of give us the confidence to, gig even further from our boundaries. Even though I would be completely content with gigging within South Africa, for now at least. Because as it stands right now, we've gone. I don't even have a band, you know. Never mind gigs. So as it stands right now, I'll take what I can get, and that's gigging within, South Africa. But as time goes on, obviously we'll want to expand our reach, at least in terms of gigs and stuff. Because that's my main sort of priority. Just gigging, dude. Like I don't necessarily care about the making of music, even though obviously we have to make music. Like, what else are we gonna get, right? Plus, yeah, I can already imagine that band members' sort of priorities are gonna be, different. One dude is gonna care more about the final product, whereas I care more about getting out there and playing it. So obviously we're gonna have to make the music, but yeah, I kind of just care about getting out there and playing it, dude. That's when I'm at my happiest, just playing the thing. And that's, evident by the fact that I've been playing since 2021, right? I did acoustic in 2021, and then 20 September, April of 2021 is when I picked up acoustic. September of 2022 is when I picked up electric. I've been playing since then, right? And I don't have a single song out. You know what I mean? So it's clear that I care more about just playing the thing than creating it or whatever. And don't get me wrong, I care about creating music, right? It's just that I care about creating it in the context of a band. I've gone through this already. I don't care about a solo act. You know, I'd rather sit on the greatest riffs to ever be thought of by a human brain than to bring them to life as a solo act in his mom's basement or like in his mom's house, whatever. Yeah, on a computer. That's not what I want. I'd rather play garbage music than to record great music. Yeah, that's honestly how I feel. And I'm glad I came to terms with that because there was a time when I just didn't know what was going on with me in terms of my music, in terms of music, you know, in terms of me and music. Like, I like music. It's clear that I like music. I like hearing music. I like, playing guitar. But for some reason, I just can't bring myself to make the music. So I'm glad that I've sort of made it clear to myself that I care about playing it, not really about making it on my own. Yes, 100%. I care about making it in the context of a band. But on my own, I couldn't care less, honestly. And that's not to knock again. I said I already sort of gave myself a pat on the back by calling my riffs great or whatever. So it's clear that it's not to knock the riffs. The riffs are dope. No, the riffs are tough. But yeah, that's the only thing. And I really hope that I can establish a band that can coexist. That's my biggest thing. That can coexist alongside, you know, people's day to day lives and activities. I don't want some dude to be like, yo, I can't play in the band anymore because I need to raise my kid. Dude, this needs to coexist. I don't want somebody to be like, yeah, I just can't do the band anymore. I've got to focus on work. I want people who are able to live this dream of theirs alongside living their lives. I don't want it to be like a one or t'other type thing. Oh, I can't do the band because it's either the band or my life. No, the band is a part of your life. Kind of like how raising your two daughters is part of your life. Kind of like how going to your work every day is a part of your life. You know, maybe it's easy for me to say, but that's the kind of people I'm looking to have on board. You know, and having in a band of mine. I'm not looking for someone who's gonna flake, because to be honest with you, I do very much love the idea. My phone space is about to run out in a few minutes, but I do very much love the idea of um like the band just going ahead without any sort of shifts or rotations in the lineup. You know, my favorite band of all time, Asian Kung Fu Generation, they've been a band since 1996, and they haven't had like a roster change or whatever. I do very much love that idea. Linkin Park, for the longest time before Chester died, they were the same dudes. Well, no, that's not true. Well, Linkin Park was right, but you'll remember they had like a little band before then called Zero. Anyway, my phone space is about to fill up. Thanks for listening. I've made all my points clear, I believe. Um, yeah, shout out Namibia, shout out South Africa, shout out the world. You know, nothing but peace, nothing but peace, peace, love, and prosperity. Who said that? I'm not sure, but someone said it, and I like it. Peace, love, and positivity. Was it not Logic? Peace, love, PLP. Peace, love. Yeah, it was him. Yeah, it was him. But then before, originally I said prosperity. But yeah. Anyway, we'll chat. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.